Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Mindshare Podcast. This show is sponsored by Kit's Keep in Touch Systems, a two-time international award-winning marketing suite for sales professionals, as well as REM Real Estate Magazine, Canada's premier monthly magazine for real estate professionals. Learn more about our sponsors by visiting my site, mindshare101.com. And while you're there, be sure to download your free copy of my book, The Ultimate Marketing Bundle, as well as learn more about our one-to-one coaching. Also, when you get there, you're going to see a pop-up about our upcoming Mindshare in Toronto. Here's what you need to know. We're hosting a 2-day Mindshare in Toronto on May 29th and 30th. We're going to be going from 8:30 to 4:30 p.m. on both days with an awesome night out on day one. You have the chance to be there with me and a few very special friends as we deep dive into the driving forces behind what's going to propel you to your next level of success. This is one of those rooms you want to be in. Mindset, marketing, systems, branding, communication, culture, resilience. It is going to be powerful. Be sure to get yourself registered, and so you know, we lucked out hard and had our hotel room block extended. It now ends at the end of the week, and event registration will be closing a few days after that. Your time is running out. Do not wait any longer. Today's episode is number 231. So, what's been going on out there lately? Well, one thing we know is that Mother Nature has finally showed up. Well, I mean, I guess she's always here. But, when we talk about blue skies and good weather, we're definitely getting a whole bunch of that up here now. And, what is that? What that does for people? It's amazing how a little bit of good weather can change everybody's attitudes, everybody's energy, everybody's personality, everybody's mindset. And that's from clients to ourselves, colleagues of ours. People are just happier when the sun is out. People are happier when the skies are blue. And this is a moment right now that when you're a business owner, entrepreneur, you're in sales, this is your moment to take advantage. This is that time of the year where this is like what we call peak season, right? Now, I know for a lot of our clients that are out there right now, we're hearing about a bunch of different stuff, what the challenges are, where the opportunities are. And when we look at challenges, we would look at, especially in the real estate industry, there's not enough supply. And this has definitely been an issue for a long time, is that sort of, that supply issue, whether or not we're going to have something to be able to move. But the other way I look at it is that if we are out there on a regular basis and we are educating, and we are communicating, and we are constantly, doing what we're supposed to be doing. I mean, thinking like a hunter as opposed to like an order taker. We're being proactive about what we do rather than reactive with what we do. Whether there's a lot of inventory or not, whether people are buying or not, there's opportunities to make something happen. You see, there's always going to be people buying and selling something. Markets will dictate how many of them are buying and selling, but it doesn't mean they're not there. Now, oftentimes what happens is, and we could look at when the weather is not as good and when things are colder and darker and gloomier and, the sun goes down earlier. Thank you, Daylight Savings Time. We could look at all this stuff and say, that's part of the reason that there's not as much going on. And I would argue that it is, right? When people are not in the mindset and they're not feeling good and they're not totally happy and everybody's just going, oh my God, it's just way too dark and gloomy, etc. They're not spending as much. But when the weather is good and everything else is happening, people are out there. Now, again, whether the inventory is up or it's not, it's that moment in time that we want to try to catch people. And this is where, again, when I talk about being proactive versus reactive, this is where that is so important. Because when you look at it, right, if you're just sitting around kind of waiting for things to come to you, waiting for things to happen, waiting and waiting and waiting, and that could be waiting because you're running online ads and you're just waiting for somebody, or you're sending flyers and you're just waiting for somebody. Or it could be that you're waiting because you're just not eager enough. You haven't got enough drive in you to go out and do it. And you might be thinking to yourself, but I want it. I really want it. I want the success. Well, are you going out and are you making it happen? See, as we look at the time right now and we think about what's happening, the people that are out there making something happen, the people that are out there communicating, those are the ones that are winning. Because there are people on the other side that are doing deals. They're spending money. But we got to go find them. So, look, good weather brings good mindsets, which means good opportunities. And that means everybody all around is just in a better place, right? And as I'm talking to my clients right now, when we talk about these supply issues and we hear about what is going on out there, I know deals are taking longer to get off the ground. I mean, they're getting signed, but they're probably taking longer to move. We got buyers that once again are a little bit unsure. I think we've gotten past the concern about the interest rates. I think the fact that they've sort of stayed a little bit more stable than that quick rise that we saw over the past few months. I think that's helped people a whole bunch, right? Because we're a little bit more stable there. When we look at, again, the different supply that's out there, from a seller perspective, I think we still got sellers that are looking for prices that are going to be higher than they probably should be. Now, that comes back to a lot of education again, right? How are we sitting down and talking with them? And in fact, I'm going to bring this one up for a moment here. What are the best strategies that you can leverage when you're out there trying to set a price on something, trying to negotiate a deal on something? Always ask them on that side what they think it should be. So, for example, how much do you want to offer? Or, for example, how much do you want to list it for? You see, we always ask them, and we try to get them to drop the number on us first. Because if we're the first person to drop the number, we don't know if we're high or if we're low. It's that simple. So instead, you sort of turn the tables and you pose the question, and you see what they come up with. Now, ideally, we're asking that in an open-ended way. So what do you feel the price should be? Like, why do you feel it should be that? Right? And maybe that's two questions, right? What do you think it should be? And maybe they give you a number, and maybe you turn around and say, why? Why do you feel that way? And what we're trying to exhaust is A, we're trying to get them to say the number first. B, we're trying to exhaust why they landed on that number. Are they way high? Are they way low? Do they have any reason behind it? Or is it completely subjective and it's just what they feel they want? Well, these are things we need to figure out. And so by asking the right questions, we can start to, help them understand where that proper place should be. Now, again, we get them to do it so that we're not wrong and that we can figure out how to work with them. Again, do we have to bring them down? Do we let them know that we could go higher? So that's on the sort of, call it the negotiation side, the sales strategy side, the like setting the price, the number, getting to that together and getting onto a level playing field together. That's when we will set a price. But then beyond the price itself, once we've got that, now we were able to also get them to the place where we feel we can probably get a deal done. And I'm hearing a lot of it, right? Where sellers right now still have those unrealistic expectations. They want X amount of dollars for their property. And the reality is their property isn't worth that. We got to be real about that. We got to understand how to play that. And again, part of that is you understanding what your market will bear and you having the confidence and the knowledge to be able to explain to them why they should be going a different way if you feel that's the case. Because let's look at the sort of the cookie crumbs to that. And you know it. But they said, you basically, you go and put the price there, you list it, you do it for the price they wanted. You're not that comfortable with it. You know at some point you're going to have to bring it down. And that just reflects on you. Plus, it's how much harder do you have to work? How many more days is this property going to sit on the market? Now, as I've been talking to clients, and we talk about how many more days is going to sit on the market, you're probably experiencing this, and you might be experiencing it firsthand, like in your shoes with your seller, or you're potentially experiencing it from the other side as the buyer, and you're watching a property that maybe you really want. And over the past couple of weeks, we've been having a lot of conversations, especially with our coaching clients, very much about getting creative with the deal. And in fact, I'm going to share two quick stories with you here. One of the stories was that, and I actually put this out in a video a couple weeks ago, maybe last week, and you might have seen this one, but a client of mine had said that she had a property. She had this property listed, and I'm going to give you some numbers here, and again, they're going to be pretty much roundabout from what I recall, but she had the property listed around like $570,000. And a buyer comes to her, an agent comes to her and says, hey, we want to make an offer on your property. She said, great, go ahead and make the offer. And he said, well, here's the only thing. Your client's got to be out in the next 12 days. And I mean, the buyer rep gave an actual date on that. When we look at the timeline of the conversation that I was having, it ended up being the seller had to be out within 12 days. So I said to my client, I said, what'd you do? She's like, I told him, forget it. I said, why? She said, well, that's crazy. I said, you're absolutely right. It's crazy to get somebody out in 12 days and they're not even expecting to be out that fast. For sure, it's crazy. But you told them no. She goes, well, yeah. So why? She goes, that's crazy. I'm like, I get it. But why not go back to him with something crazier? She's like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, if I'm in your shoes, one, I look at the fact that there is a opportunity to do a deal. Somebody's about to make an offer. So if they're going to make an offer, why not take advantage of the opportunity that they're making? They're presenting to us. There's a conversation to be had. There's a deal to negotiate. There's something to explore together. Okay, great. She's like, so what would you do? I'm like, personally, for me, I would have said, no problem. Go ahead and run me up an offer for it and put it down to $625. She goes, $625? That's a lot of money. She's like, it's only listed at $570. I'm like, exactly. This guy came in and made a crazy offer to you based on closing date. Cool. You might think it's totally nuts, but let's go. Anything is possible for a price. So in this case here, it was like, hey, he's saying 12 days. You go back with $625. You're $55,000 higher than what the list looks like. And if he turns around and says, well, hey, that's crazy, say, I know, but so is 12 days. So write me up an offer and let's see if we can put something together here. Now think about that. You go back to your client and you say to them, hey, I just sold your property. We got you $55,000 more. And we didn't even have to get into multiples. Client's like, wow, that's incredible. Yeah. The only thing is we need to get you out in the next 12 days. Now, the client might turn around and be like, whoa, that's crazy. That's way too fast. But for $55,000 more, we might be able to speed ourselves up a little bit. In fact, we could put this guy up in a hotel, a first-class hotel for the entire month and still be up on the price. So you see, there's ways to get creative with the deal. So if somebody's going to make an offer, explore it. Look at ways to get it done. And again, one of the challenges out there right now is all this crazy stuff. But this guy came in crazy. Let's go back crazy. Now we're going to both realize we're crazy. And we're either going to do a crazy deal or we're going to end up realizing, hey, we're too crazy. Let's cool this down a little bit and get on a little bit better, like more normalcy. But maybe we still got something we can do together. You see what I'm saying? So instead of her going back and saying no, which she originally did, we then turned the tables there and said, well, let's go back and be crazy. And now we've got a deal to be had. And even if they come back and they're like, I'm not giving you $625, I'll offer you $615, or I'll offer you $6. We are still winning. And now both sides are winning. So always think about how can I get creative with the deal? The art of putting it together. Here, the other story I was going to mention. Got another client of mine. He's got some buyers. His buyers love this property they just went to go see. Love it. He knows it's the perfect property for his clients. They go and they check out the actual listing price and it's stupid. Like it's way higher than it should be. So he connects with the seller's agent and says, hey, what's your reasoning behind the price? And plain and simple, she goes, that's what my clients wanted to list for. He's like, yeah, but the comps aren't even close. Like you're about $150,000 more than like anything else out there. It's like, I know, but that's what my clients wanted to list for. It's like, okay, but you've been on market for 24 days now. Yeah, but that's what my clients wanted to list for. So what would you do in that situation? Do you just throw your hands in the air and think to yourself like, this person's an idiot. Like there's nothing to be done here. And I'm sure to some degree, you probably do, right? We do sit around and we're like, oh my God, there's nothing, this person's too stupid. There's no way I'm going to get this deal done. Why are they such, and you start getting frustrated. Like my coaching client, his buyers were actually willing to offer even more than list just to get the property. But the more they were going to offer wasn't even close. Pardon me. Let me take that back. His clients were willing to offer more than what the property should have been listed for. Not what it was listed for, because it was listed for $150,000 more than it should have been. But they were still willing to go to more than what the comp showed. You get it. But she wasn't budging. And she wasn't even communicative. And there's a learning moment in its own, right? When somebody's on the other end trying to make an offer to you, whether it's crazy or it's not crazy, your job is to communicate. In fact, let's go back to that. What are the two things that our job is all about? Well, it's about marketing and it's about negotiating. It's not about how cool you are and what car you drive and how many TikToks you do. Sorry, I had to poke. Right, but seriously, let's get real, right? Like, it's all about your marketing skills and your negotiating skills. So in this case here, now we sit back and we say, okay, I'm here to help my people get this property. I've got to get creative with it. And if I communicate better, there's probably a better opportunity to do some sort of deal together. And that's exactly the advice I presented to my client. Well, can we go for coffee with this agent? Can we get to know the agent better? Can we understand who she is and what her motive is behind listing a house like that and being completely unresponsive? And if I fast forward that story for you, I'll tell you, he did it. He did get together with her. He did learn that she's only been in the business a very short period of time. And by sitting down and having a coffee together, spending extra time that we could argue didn't need to be spent, but then I could also argue like it needed to be spent. And the reason I sort of contradict myself right there is fast forwarding on all this, he sits down, has coffee, they get to know each other, realize she's a really nice person, he's a really cool person. She's only been in the business a year and a half, and there's a complete learning opportunity here because she just really doesn't know any better. And next thing you know, there's a deal to be had. Buyers are moving in. So here we go. Supply issues or not. I'd even argue bad weather or good weather, even though we're getting really good weather right now. There's always a deal to be had when somebody comes to the table. You just got to figure out how to A, communicate properly with the person on the other end. Instead of being like, no. Okay, let's talk about it. Right? Because that's the opposite, right? Like, why would you offer me that price? Okay, let's talk more. Open up the floor. Get creative. Think about the art of doing the deal. I just gave you two stories right there to help you get creative the next time you get into a challenging spot. Now, I also want to share some good news here because I had a coaching client of mine the other day who, I don't want to use the word struggling, okay, but getting his business off the ground to the place that he wants to be. First of all, an incredibly good person. Really, really kind, really genuine, and really, really wants it. He's also doing the work he's supposed to be doing to get it. And what I kept saying, and I've said this to you before, and I think we talked about this like a few episodes ago, and it was just you and me. But it's to trust in the process, right? Remember that this is a long game. I mean, how many times people laugh at me every single time I'm like, okay, listen, I want to invest in some real estate. I'm going to put it down today. I'm going to buy the place today. I want to make $1 million on my investment, and I want to make that money tomorrow. And much the same right now, I know you're like, whoa, dude, you can't do that. Yeah, I know. Because it's a long-term investment, right? Exactly, as you're nodding, listening to me. Well, if that's the case and it's a long-term investment, then why is it that we think that investing in our contact list is this like immediate turnaround? Doesn't happen. We got to trust in the process. We've got to meet the people. We've got to follow up the people. We've got to create a relationship with the people. Once we do that, we might get an opportunity from the people. It's a long game. And as I continue to explain to this particular client, we continue to set up his systems and put the things together and make sure that he's doing the work and hold him accountable. And he continued to tell me he's doing everything he should be. And there's been a lot of amazing, amazing stuff happening. Finally, the deals are starting to come. They're starting to come from a whole bunch of different angles. Listings, buyers, inquiries. He's running around. He's like, Dave, it's unbelievable. Everything is just starting to work. And I told him, I reminded him. I said, that's because you're trusting in the process. See, we want these immediate returns, and we look around and we go, but things are tough, and interest rates and supply challenges and all blah, 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 blah. Stop with the excuses. Life is going to throw shit at you all the time. It's always going to make you work. It's always going to challenge you. I mean, hell, I've been a Leafs fan my entire life, and they still can't win the cup. They get out of the first round, and all of a sudden they get blasted in the second round, and I sit there thinking to myself, where are the hockey gods? Do they ever exist? Like, why is it always so difficult? You had to think that was going to come up at some point, and I'm sorry, that just came out. We're not talking about the Leafs. I don't want to talk about the Leafs. But my point is, it's like when you think, you're like, it's just got to happen. Life just doesn't throw it to you like that. Life makes you work for it. And then it makes you work harder. And then it throws learning lessons at you that absolutely suck, and you don't even see them as a learning lesson. You see them as a challenge. You see them as a roadblock. You see them as a pain in the ass. You see them as a frustration. Only after the fact do we see them as a learning opportunity. Do we see them as something that life threw at us so that we could actually apply to make ourselves better? So that the next time we get to that situation, we will win. And that is how life goes. Nobody got up and started walking just like that. We all fell a few times. Nobody got on two wheels without training wheels. We all fell a few times. Like, it's just part of the process. We got to learn. And that's the thing to remember. And that's why, for me, so super excited for my client, because he is now seeing it. He trusted in the process. He continued to listen to me. We continue to build out the systems. He continued to put in the effort. And now it's working. And I got to tell you, I got so many stories like this that it's so impossible to break me, to be like, no, that's not how it goes. No, yeah. It's like completely how it goes, in fact. Because I got this person and this person and this person and this person and hundreds, thousands of people that I've spoken to over the years, that this is how it goes. We've got the map, we've got the process, we've got the systems, but we've got to trust in the process. Now, that's obviously if you're putting the work in, because if you're not putting the work in, you don't have to trust in shit. You ain't getting shit. I'll tell you that straight. So anyway, super pumped for this guy. Right? And again, the reminder to you, the learning moment here again is trust in the process. Now, you might, forgive me, you might be like, Dave, what process? Really, really quickly, because this is stuff that we work on with our coaching clients, so it's like top secret stuff, but I'll share it with you for a minute. Your contact list, put them in a system, work them. Income producing activities daily, blocking time daily, making sure you're doing the things you need to be doing daily. Thinking like a hunter, not like an order taker. See, every day is about a step in our journey. And we talk about the 1%. I want to be top 1%. Or we talk about the 99%, right? You know the difference between the 99% and the 100%? 1%. 1%. And you're probably like, yeah, Dave, I get it. 99 and 100. Yeah, it's 1%. No. Listen to me. It's that 1% of extra effort that you're going to make that most people won't. Everybody wants. Most people in life don't do jack shit to get it. In fact, let me rephrase that. Most people in life don't do enough to get it. They don't do everything they have to get it. Most people will talk about wanting it. Most people will try to get some of it. But the minute the going gets tough, the minute shit hits the fan, the minute things don't work the way they want to, they're gone. And there's your 1%. You can be amazing. I mean, here, I'm going to come right back to my Maple Leafs for a second. Follow me here. Bare minimum doesn't get you anything more than bare minimum. We were a top 5 team in the league all year. And I'm serious now. We're not going off about the Leafs. I'm going to explain something to you. Follow me. Top 5 team in the league all year. Look at us on paper at the start of the year. You might say one of the best teams in the NHL. And you know what? We were. Things were good. Then what happens is when you get to playoffs, every single person starts to go, wow, every team now, 50% of the league basically is in the playoffs. The other 50% is gone. So the pool and that path to the Stanley Cup, the ultimate trophy, just got way smaller, which means we're that much closer. And as we start to get closer, what happens? Well, things start to get harder. We got the first round. Then we got the second round. For us Leafs fans, that's pretty much where it ends. But and for the first time in a long time, we got second round, right? But the point is every round gets harder because every single person on that ice wants it more. The other team's going to work harder. So now you look at the Maple Leafs and you say, well, why didn't they win? Well, because we still continue to do the bare minimum. Because at the bare minimum, we're a top 5 team in the NHL. But when it comes to playoffs, bare minimum no longer makes you a top 5 team. Bare minimum means you're probably not going anywhere. Because every single person steps it up. Every team steps it up. Everybody goes to that next level. Well, again, if you're going to do the bare minimum, and I'm not going to get into specifics now about the Leafs, but if you're going to do the bare minimum, you're only going to get the bare minimum, and that's exactly what the Leafs got. Because again, when the pool is smaller and that many more people want it that badly, and you're looking at that competition, again, who's going to get it? Is it you or is it them? Now, I operate with a mentality on a regular basis. I'm going to be the one to get it. It's going to be me, but I understand that it's that 1%. So when somebody says, "Oh, I'm tired," somebody says, "Oh, I'm busy," yo, that right there, that excuse of tired, that excuse of busy, that excuse, the fact that it came out of their mouth, there it is right there. That's the moment that I won. I'm tired. I'm busy. But I know that little excuse just stopped you. It didn't stop me. And there's the difference. There's why we continue to win. And then that's why we instill this personality, this mentality, this attitude on all of our clients, because I want my clients to win. And as my clients operate like this, we're winning. Because it's the 1%. It's that little tiny thing that you think is completely insignificant that you don't need to do, which you in fact need to do. But it's all a choice. You've got a choice. Best part is most of the time you make the choice not to do it. Now, I should say that a different way. You're not my competition. So, like if you were my competition, best part is you make the choice not to do it. But as somebody tuned into my podcast, and I am so grateful for you and I thank you. By the way, if you haven't rated the podcast, please go to ratethispodcast.com/mindshare101. Big 5 stars, nice little review. Thank you in advance. Seriously, though, if you haven't, we'd appreciate it. But think about that. Talking to you as somebody who's listening on a regular basis, or maybe it's your first time listening, either way, thank you in a big way. I'm in fact saying to you, I want you to make the right choices. I want you to take the stories I'm sharing with you right now and leverage them to make the right choices. Don't be bare minimum. Know that tiny little thing that you think that was like, it didn't matter. No, it mattered. And that's the difference, because most people will think it didn't matter and they will stop right there. I do not want you to be most people, because most people don't get what they actually want. Again, it's a choice. I'll give you this one, another story here. Had another client I was talking to, and we were talking about, just something that had gone on with a client of hers. And how the client of hers really, and through the stories that I was learning and the notes that I was taking on our coaching calls, I was kind of like breaking this down. Her client, her buyer, was actually like this snobby, stuck up, like rude individual. And I kind of got that from the first time she told me about her, but I put it in my notes. Then the next time we're talking about it again, that same deal, which isn't coming together yet, which she's pulling her hair about, I'm like, wait a second, this is the same client. Wow. Then it came up a third time. I'm like, listen, I gotta tell you something. I've been taking notes on this for like the past, a few times we've spoken about it. And to me, here's what I think about her. I don't even know her. So maybe I'm totally passing judgment on somebody I don't know, but based on like everything I'm learning from you, she is not a good person. In fact, you two don't seem like you're in alignment with each other. And that right there is really the point of bringing this up, because we realized that they did not align. And she realized it. My client realized it. I realized it. And all in all, we decided to cut the ties with that buyer. Now you might be saying like, wait a second, you had a client, you just let them go? Sometimes it's what you got to do. Sometimes you need to realize you don't align. You're not like-minded people. You haven't got the same mindset. You just got to let it go. Because otherwise what's going to happen is it's going to be bad energy. And that bad energy is just going to, bring upon a bad experience. But when you got good energy with each other, you transfer good energy to each other, and then good energy happens. And look, you can again do the roll the eyes, woo-woo stuff, whatever, but I'll tell you something. When you got positive energy, that will radiate to other people, and that will create positive energy for them. And then there's positive energy around you, and positive things happen. You want to flip it around, you got a negative client and you allow that to impact you, and sometimes we don't even allow it, but it just does, and now everything's negative. Well, everything's going to be negative. Think about that, right? So we realized that for her, they didn't align. And so we cut the ties, and all of a sudden, when the bad energy left and the good energy came in, again, deals started coming from different opportunities, listings, but started coming from different directions. And her energy now, my client's energy, is so high in such a good way that so many good things are happening. But while she was dealing with that client, bad energy, she was very quiet and she was pulling her hair out dealing with that client. So again, learning moment here. One, we need good energy to make good things happen. Two, if you realize it's bad energy, it's probably because you don't align with that person, and it's okay to let them go. Because once you get them out of there, you've made room for a lot of other good stuff. Now, doing all these things I'm talking about, right? The communication and the education and the IPAs, income producing activities, the prospecting and thinking like a hunter rather than an order taker, being proactive with your days. I mean, it's one thing to talk about them. It's one thing to know that you got to do them, but it's another thing to actually do them. And then do them consistently, right? Don't just do it once, but continue to do it. Because the more consistent you are with your efforts, the more opportunity you're going to create for yourself. The more you're going to have good things coming back your way. But if you're not consistent about it and you let yourself fall off and you look at those tiny little excuses and that little thing and you think, it's not a big deal. Well, again, that little 1%, that's going to throw you off. And the fact that you allowed yourself to not be consistent, again, that's going to throw you off. And it's just not going to help you get to the place you want to be. Consistent effort no matter what's happening. We started off the top here today going the ups and the downs. What's going on out there? Where are mindsets? We're in good weather right now. Great. The roller coaster is up. But you know it's going to come down. So right now, while you're busy doing deals and you're busy getting stuff happening, do not forget to get out there and do the things you need to do consistently. The prospecting, the building of the mind share. Because at some point when the roller coaster does come down the hill, the skies go from blue to gray, maybe the weather goes from hot to cold, mentality is going to change. And the one thing we don't want to have is we don't want to necessarily have this big dip in business. So whether you're busy or you're not busy, it's your choice whether or not you're going to continue to do the things you need to be doing. It's your choice whether you're going to make an excuse to say, but I'm busy right now. What's your problem? I had somebody come up to me the other day. I was about to take the stage at an event. She comes up and she says, Dave, first off, I tune into all the podcasts. I watch all your stuff. You know that. She goes, thank God you're here. I'm like, well, thank you. Why? She's like, because honestly, she goes, I've been doing so well based on all the things that I learned from you. I've been doing so well. She's like, admittedly, she goes, I stopped prospecting. I'm like, why? She goes, because business is just coming in. I said, so what's the problem? She goes, well, it kind of slowed down. Like, are you prospecting? She goes, no, I got to get back there. And that's why I'm so happy you're here. It's like a sign. You're about to take the stage and you're always holding me accountable. You're always kicking my ass, even though you don't know it through your, all your videos and your podcast. She goes, the fact that you're here is like my reminder, my sign from the universe that I got to get my shit together. I said, you're damn right you got to get your shit together. And this, again, think about it. Don't stop. Consistency is the magic ingredient to achieving anything you want. You could teach yourself everything. You could go to courses. You could watch videos and listen to podcasts, listen to this podcast. I could tell you all this stuff. It is your choice whether you're going to implement it or not. Because if you don't implement it, none of this matters anyways. If you don't implement it, none of it matters anyways. Like I've continued to say, the difference between the 99% and the 100% is the 1%. So in a moment like right now, where maybe the skies are blue and the times are good and things are happening, when we talk about managing money, when we talk about managing your mindset, remember, it's really, really important to remain consistent on your plans no matter how busy you are. And whether, again, things are good or things are bad, when you've got a system and a process in place, that is how you bring everything you want to life. And I'll tell you, that's exactly what we work on with our clients on a regular basis. In fact, that's so much of what we're going to talk about at our mastermind coming up at the end of the month, which I am so incredibly excited about. And I know we haven't told anybody like much of anything, still haven't. I got people messaging me, hey, Dave, is this person coming? Is that person coming? Or can you tell us any more right now? No. Even the people that are registered, we got a full room. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be so inspiring, so powerful, so next level. But even people that are like registered to be in the room, all we're telling them is what day, what time, and where to be. Nothing else. But isn't that cool? Like, why would you go to an event that you know nothing about? Well, because you know nothing about it. Now, isn't that exciting? I mean, you're listening to this, so you must be trusting in the process, that we deliver some way. But I'll also say this. From a cost of a ticket, because we've had people like, excuses like the agenda. I don't know what the agenda is. Okay, no big deal. Don't worry about it. Just come. Or people that are like talking about the money. Well, listen, first off, it's a tax write-off. So that right away, you get the tax man to pay for it. Second of all, we're going to help you do at bare minimum, at least one extra deal. At least one. So from a $1,697 ticket price for 2 full days of learning with all sorts of amazing people, that's like 16 hours of learning plus all sorts of extras. It's the value is ridiculous. It's like $100 and something an hour. Like it doesn't even make sense why we're even thinking about it. But the tax man will pay for it because it's a write-off. Doing one extra deal at minimum, and by the way, you know I'm not a minimum person, right? We just talked about the bare minimum. We don't do bare minimum over here at Mindshare 101. So your $1,697 is just an actual massive investment into yourself. But I'll tell you, if you don't believe in yourself enough to make it happen, to be able to come there, learn what you're going to learn, listen to the hype that I'm giving you right now to tell you how much you're going to apply, how much you're going to take away. If you don't believe in yourself enough to come there, do that, and then walk away and actually do better, I don't want you in the room. On the flip side, if you're like, are you kidding? I'll crush it. Then what are you waiting for? Your time is right now. May 29th and 30th, the Mindshare Mastermind in Toronto. Make sure you join us. Go to mindshare101.com. All the details are there. Well, the registration link is there. That's about all you need to know. If you do have some questions, feel free to DM us. We could talk to you further and answer a few things, but we're not giving you much. So don't expect much. All I'm telling you, if you come, expect a lot. Like expect more than you've ever had at another conference or another event. In fact, this is not a conference. This is a mastermind. It's not just any mastermind. It's the Mindshare Mastermind. You're either listening to this on one of your favorite podcast platforms, or maybe you went to my website, mindshare101.com. And while you're there, be sure to download your free copy of the Ultimate Marketing Bundle, our 31-page ebook, including your free 90-day social media content calendar to help you build more mindshare so that you get more market share. A reminder as well that if you want to talk about personalized one-to-one coaching, an in-person keynote talk for your upcoming event, and or ongoing virtual training, just get in touch with me. We'll set up a consultation call, learn more about what you're looking to achieve and how we are going to help you do just that. Also, make sure to get registered for a small group mastermind taking place on May 29th and 30th in Toronto. It's going to be 2 powerful days of collaboration, networking, and problem solving. Like I said, the agenda details will be sent to you after you register. Don't forget to leave a review of this podcast at www.ratethis.com/Mindshare101. Connect with me on Facebook at Mindshare101 and on Instagram at David Greenspan 101. I want to thank Kids Keep in Touch Systems and REM Magazine for sponsoring the Mindshare podcast. Be sure to visit our site to learn more about what these powerful companies will do to help you grow your business. This has been another episode of the Mindshare podcast. Thank you for tuning in.